Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. Today we're going to get right into the February general outlook for the sign of Scorpio. Alright, Scorpios, you're up next. This is the general outlook, so we don't know where this is going to land. We'll see once the cards come out. It could be about relationships with friends, lovers, family. It could be healing, spiritual path, objectives, could be work. So whatever the case may be, let's just see for you, Scorpio. We're going to get right into your Celtic spread. And just take a look. Now, we know this reading can't be for all Scorpios, so just take what applies to you. If it doesn't resonate with you, or if it doesn't apply to anything that you're going through right now, then this reading is not for you, okay? You might want to check out your other placements where your moon, rising, Venus, or Mars are placed. Those are all strong aspects in your chart, and the readings for those signs may be more in line with what you're dealing with in your life right now. All right, guys, so Scorpio, show me for February what's going on. We want to get a clear picture. Any obstacles that may be in the way, and energies that are working towards us or against us. Let's check it out for Scorpio. Show me. All right, straight out we have the moon covered by the star. Wow. You have Emperor in your conscious and Page of Swords, coming out a lot recently for people. Hangman energy, an awakening, and a Nine of Pentacles. Wow. Your energy this month is the Devil, met with a lot of power struggle. The Sun comes out for you. Wow. And the World. All right, Scorpio. Bottom of the deck, you have Lovers. Look at the amount of major arcana you have in your reading. You have 7, 8 major arcana. So this is definitely a reading for a Scorpio that is going through a lot of major life changes right now. All right, so this is your spread, Scorpio. Let's get right into it. You have, interesting, this is a very rare time that we have the moon, the star, the moon, and the sun. This is normally how it would go in the traditional deck, right? In terms of progression, right? Star energy, wishing, moon, which is the testing phase and the darkness and coming out into the sun. Nevertheless, at the center of your reading, Scorpio, you have the moon. The moon is, of course, associated with Pisces. The star is associated with Aquarius energy. I'm not going to bother telling you that you could be dealing with either or of those signs, because you also have Capricorn, Aries, right? And in fact, Gemini and a little bit of Leo here. So it's really, that really has nothing to do with it. Those are just some of the essences that are associated with those astrological signs with the card. The moon itself, though, certainly does indicate a high level of psychic energy, a high level of sort of intuitional ability. It is also a period in our lives where we are being tested, right? Whenever the moon is in our lives, it's a strong card. And it tests us for, it tests all of the strength and all of the lessons that we may have learned up until a particular time, like now, right? And during the period of the moon coming out in our lives, not everything is clear, right? We see things as if they are under moonlight. So we see things, but we don't always see the completely true nature of those things or events. It can feel like going through a valley of darkness. This is usually a time that is very apprehensive. Although your third eye may be open and your psychic abilities may be increasing a bit, you may be open a lot more to messages, right, from the spirit, omens, signs, things of that nature. You know, you may be communicating a lot more on that level. However, it is still a testing period and a period where much is unknown. And so oftentimes this can be associated with a lot of anxiety, a lot of unsurety. But yet it just really requires us to have the courage to have faith in our abilities and our strengths, because after the moon always comes the sun. And though we come out into clarity, and oftentimes we realize the only thing we really had to fear was literally fear itself. And that statement is so significant for so many reasons, right? This being one of them. You're covered with star energy, which is a feeling of wanting to make your dreams come true. And so I think right now there's a feeling for you, Scorpio, if you're resonating with this reading, there's a really strong feeling of sort of your life being kind of not in your hands right now. You're really working towards your dream. You have a dream for your life. You have a desire here with the star energy that you are seeking. But Scorpio, for you right now, with this particular reading, we're talking about perhaps being still unsure of what that is, how to accomplish it. How do I get there? I know what I want to have, but I don't know how to get there. It could be that right now you are on your path to your goal and you are indeed being tested in this period right now for you. It may not be that you don't know how to get there, but right now this period may be a little difficult for you, trying to understand what it is that you're needing to learn right now. What is it that you're supposed to be understanding, right? Or what's the next step? Because right now with the moon, there's real sense of unsurety. Now, the Emperor and the Page of Swords. The Page of Swords has been showing up for all of these general readings in some capacity or another. The Page of Swords is all about sort of overcoming doubt and negative self-image, overcoming our fears that we aren't adequate or that we don't have what it takes. It just talks about really combating negative mental states, right? Swords are always mental in communication. The Page of Swords is that first stage of like overcoming those fears, right? Trying to see things from a bigger picture, not getting bogged down into sort of the details too much, right? Remaining, keeping a perspective on what it is you're trying to achieve, and keeping a perspective on what it is that you can accomplish, and remaining enthusiastic and positive about it. That's the energy you have in the back of your mind. And I think right now that is the energy you're attacking this period in your life with, a period where you're trying to really sort of increase your self-esteem, increase your ability to say, listen, I can get through this, right? I have the strength to get through this. I don't need anybody talking me down, and I don't need to be sort of at the mercy of my own sort of fears and doubts. I gotta just attack it, right? In the conscience, in the focus of your mind, you have the Emperor. And the Emperor is this energy very much of seeking to attain some stability, right? The Emperor this energy always seeks to either achieve stability or maintain or increase stability, increase the power base, bring order to chaos. Oftentimes the Emperor brings order to a situation where there may not have been any, or maybe things have become sort of gone out of your control a little bit. When the Emperor comes in to sort of reassert his authority, right, in a lot of ways. And then I think for a lot of you, it could very well be that, you may have been coming from a period where you may have been plagued with some doubts. You may have been plagued with some sort of a little bit of self-esteem, and things may have gotten away from you. But now in February, you're absolutely, during this period of really sort of being unsure of what to do next, you are indeed focusing on maintaining your stability, regaining your sense of authority in some area where you feel perhaps you may have lost it. This could be in an area where you're very passionate about, or a career move. An example could be is that if you were, say for instance, you were a certain kind of athlete, or you participated in some kind of amateur events, right, over the years, and you were always really at the top, list of those people who could do this particular, task or this event or this sport, right? And perhaps maybe over the years you've fallen out of it, right? This is just an example. then this Emperor energy and Page of Swords would be this energy of saying, look, I need to reassert my authority here. I want to get back into it. I want to become much more stable. Perhaps you had a few years off. If it's a sports thing, maybe you weren't as fit as you normally are or whatever. But or if it's to do with a career, it could be that you've dipped out of your career. You may not have put your best foot forward for quite some time. And now you're wanting to do that. Now you're wanting to get back into the game, get back into your groove. You know what I mean? Get your authority back if you've lost any, sort of get back on top. And this is this feeling, and it's really good energy with Page of Swords, because Page of Swords is in the back of your mind telling you that you can do it indeed. That this is accomplishable. And the reason why I say that perhaps for some period you may have let things go is because you're coming out of a Hanged Man here. And this is interesting because it really seems to indicate that February is a time for you to have a real awakening, Scorpio, about the fact that perhaps in some area of your life you've really not been putting your best foot forward. You've been kind of maybe lazy or very happy to settle for less. The Hangman generally is when we wake up, we have an awakening, we have an epiphany, or we have oftentimes something coming into our lives that is really inspirational. And it could be that for quite some time you just have been uninspired, right? You may have not had very many dreams. You may have been uninspired about your life. It's interesting that star energy will come in as your covering energy for the month, because it could very well be, Scorpio, that some of you have indeed been sort of maybe the last months or years of your life, you just have not been sort of believing in your dreams so much, happy to settle with less, happy to put not as much effort into it. Once again, this is this feeling, this February, that you're trying to get back out of this mode. And you're feeling inspired again. You're feeling like you want to get back into it. You're waking up to the fact that you have much more to give, much more to do. And this is the energy that you bring into February. You round the month off with a 9 of Pentacles, which is a real feeling of getting right back into your garden, having a lot of abundance around you. For some of you who have maybe lost your way a little bit and maybe finances were beginning to suffer, or again, I almost don't feel like it was so much finances, but it was perhaps your environment. It could be that you were slumming it for a little while, right? Just because you didn't feel like, doing much more, right? Because you right away, it's interesting, you come right away into this beautiful garden, 9 of Pentacles. So it's not like you're doing bad. It's just that you've been very lax. For some of you, it could have been very lax period of time. But it doesn't take much for you to come right back into this beautiful garden, right back into having all of the finest things and really taking care of yourself. 9 of Pentacles also is when we get back into taking care of our health and our body. And so this could also be, again, a reason why I feel like it's not so much the monetary, because I feel like you pretty much stay on top of the money. The money's there, It's not like you allowed yourself to sort of language into sort of poverty or hard times. The money is there, but it feels very much more like a physical thing also. It feels much more to me like, maybe, again, when I take the example of like a sports person or someone, some event that you were in, or something that you have to train for, that you have to keep your body up for, whatever that could be. Even if it's modeling, or acting, there's still a physical component. It feels like that is perhaps the thing here, that, you're going to be very much inspired to get yourself physically and emotionally, mentally healthy back into that shining, glittering stage. And of course, this is where you end up by the end of the month. Now, your attitude this month is devil energy. You're met with 5 of Wands. So interesting. The devil is oftentimes, it is associated with, all of the negative side of being unfulfilled creatively. When we are unfulfilled creatively, we tend to get into codependency. We tend to get into addictive behavior, instant gratification. We become a slave to our passions. And the devil represents this energy of being a slave to your passion, of being, addicted to, toxic relationships, But a lot of this energy, what is the cause of it? The cause is not, our typical sort of Christian Judeo idea of the devil is just being this evil entity. It is, in tarot, we talk about the cause of this because generally your creative communication outlets have either been blocked off, or you've not been allowed to really let your inspiration express itself to its fullest, right? And so, your creative expression becomes stifled, and it becomes sort of, it kills our spirit, right? But we still seek to have gratification. We still need to have our passions sort of answered. And so we find these answers in these like very toxic situations, or these instant gratification situations, which is basically addictions, which is why we're addicted. We just keep going back for that 30-second, high, or that 30-second satisfaction, but it's very short-lived. The real satisfaction comes when you're able to work to a higher goal, or spiritual goal, or aesthetic goal, and you're able to really express yourself creatively in the most positive way. Then the sort of satisfaction that comes back from that is the kind of satisfaction that we can ride on for long, long periods of time. But this here is just really kind of the horrible sort of negative side of it all. And it's interesting that this is your attitude this month, and I think you're met with the Five of Wands, which is a lot of arguing and bickering, and I think you realize that perhaps the fact that you haven't been allowed to, or you haven't allowed yourself to be as creative as you needed to be, that this is the energy that you have. I think it's an awakening though, right? Because this is coming in for you, and this is the energy you very intentionally have. I think it's almost feels like you know what you're doing, Scorpio. Like, look, I'm engaging in this now because I feel like it, because I'm pissed off that I'm not able to do what I really want to do. I think you know this about yourself, and I think that this month though, February, it's like the first step in you kind of waking up to all of this, right? I think it's the first step in you waking up to why you feel the way you feel, right? Or why you may be seeking sort of instant satisfaction, or you may be a little bit of a slave right now to an addiction, whether that's shopping or drinking or whatever the addiction is. We all have all kinds of addictions, right? But I think you very much see the writing on the wall and why it's happening because of this awakening here with the Hangman. The Hangman comes in to let us know that we're waking up, we're having an understanding, we're having a realization. And this is, I think, very much the realization. This is all, as well, part of this testing period for you. And again, it's really about you sort of learning how to manifest your aims and objectives and your real dreams for your life, right? Your real goal for your life, which is the star energy. That is a lifetime goal, and it takes a lifetime to achieve. And even though you may not have been on a path to it for some time now, I think this month you realize what has been in your way, or why you have not been able to sort of follow that path, and that you need to do more in terms of opening your opportunities and options for being more creative, for expressing yourself more. It takes more work, but there's more satisfaction in it. And just the fact that you're met with so much arguing and bickering this month with the Five of Wands, I think it's just going to get right on your nerves, and you're just not going to be there for it. I think there's going to be more arguing and bickering than normal. It almost feels like a certain connection or situation is almost coming to a head in February. If I were pulling animal spirits, it wouldn't be surprising if the panther would show up, in the sense that there seems to be a chaotic moment that is building up for February for you. And I think the explosion of that, or the sort of settling of that moment, or the, just the happening of that chaotic moment, the fallout of it will be also a knock-on effect to a lot of this awakening you're having. What comes out of it is really going to open your eyes to a lot of ways that you may have been sabotaging your own sort of creative progression, right? And again, you're already on the right track, because this month you're being very intentional about it. When I come back to Emperor and Page of Swords, you're being very intentional about changing your life around and getting back on top, getting back on track to doing the things you want to do. But with the moon, it seems to suggest that for February, there still is an unknown area. There is still some area that there needs to be a lesson or an understanding or an experience, right? And it's still quite unsure what that area is. And I think that a lot of it will be coming out of this energy here, right? this argument that you're probably going to have, or falling out, or something that's just going to come to a head that has already been quite testy, that has already had a lot of tension, but it's really going to come out, and I think a lot of truths are going to be said. You come out into the sun and the world, and so by the end of the month, everything that you wish to happen happens. I'm going to put these around this way. In the sense that you come into the sun energy, right? Clarity comes in. This is really what you want to happen, and this is indeed oftentimes it's the same position for our fears. So it could as well be that not only do you want to have understanding coming in, Scorpio, but a little bit, some side of you also fears it, right? Some side of you is a little bit apprehensive about seeing the whole truth, because seeing the whole truth and the whole picture also means we have to admit certain truths about ourselves. It can also mean that we have to admit certain truths about relationships we have in our lives that we wish were other than they were. You know, so sometimes facing up the truth can be difficult, but ultimately it's what you really, really desire and want. And it absolutely comes in for you. And I think you really find out, again, this is a great awakening month for you, Scorpio, if you're resonating with this energy. You round off with the world, and that seems to feel like for you that everything is exactly the way it should be. You are exactly where you should be, and it feels very much like fate and destiny is favoring you, right? Where before you were sort of unsure, apprehensive, not realizing, saying to yourself, well, damn, what is it that I'm supposed to get out of this, right? I feel like I know, but I just don't see the whole picture. You get through all of that, and absolutely clarity comes in, and you, by the end of it, you feel great. You feel like, as we always do when we make it through the moon phase with that courage, it always comes out. We feel stronger, wiser, you know what I mean? Because we made it. We made it through. We didn't let the fear of the unknown stop us, you know what I'm saying? And so there's always that reaffirmation, and the sun always brings that reaffirmation, that warmth, that strength, that room for growth now. Now you can begin growing again instead of standing still, which you've been doing for quite some time. And it really opens up the way for a lover's connection. I think for some of you, there is a love connection that is being impacted by all of this as well. And it could very well be that this is exactly the lesson you needed to learn to get back to a particular love connection. It's interesting that lovers would show up there at the bottom. Again, these are all very sort of, having so many major arcana in a reading can very much indicate that right now, all experiences in life are, you know, down to what you make of them. Of course, they require your input, but this has been a moment sort of for some Scorpios that was really meant to happen, right? This month, this sort of learning phase, this moon phase, the whole thing was sort of really kind of, you know, it's almost as if divine energies are conspiring for this to happen because it needed to happen. It was meant to happen. And what you come out of it with is so beautiful. And it seems to be like a real sort of, I want to say for some of you, it feels like a recalibration, right? Whereas you may have been kind of off your path towards your real objective in life somehow, found your way just off course. This is sort of a recalibration, getting back on course. And by the end of February, you feel firmly like you are, in fact, right back on course in the life that you've always wanted to have, or in the life that you've always been striving for. Ace of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, 3 of Swords, and 2 of Swords. So balance comes in. Interesting. Bottom of the deck, you have 6 of Wands. So valor, right? 6 of Wands is also victory, right? So a public victory comes in. A public, you know, a sense of bravery, having gotten through it. And the victory comes for you, yeah? So this month is very much about a feeling of vindication and the strength to press on through. This Ace of Wands has come in to clarify your Emperor energy. So this, you have a new, again, awakening with Hangman. You have this new sense of passion about you, about getting back on track, getting back to stability, getting back to your power base, certainly reasserting your authority, right? Excellent. You know, you're feeling on fire this February, and you're feeling very ambitious about it. And it could be that there's a certain event or new new kind of option, opportunity, or event that came into your life most recently that is causing you to have so much more enthusiasm. Some sort of powerful reaffirmation has come into your life to remind you that you can still be that emperor, that, you know, power base, the one in charge at the top of your sort of field or whatever it is that you feel passionate about. Again, if I go back to that example earlier, Page of Swords is 10 of Pentacles. Some money may have come in the back of your mind. There may be this month a real feeling of confidence because money has started to come in. Wealth has started to increase. 10 of Pentacles certainly indicates a coming together or a completion in the area of career or business. So for some of you, it could very well be, because a lot of this talks about passion and creative desires that you have. It could be that you have indeed been working on a career area that now is coming to completion and really allowing you to get back to the things you've always wanted to do, right? To get back to working on reasserting your authority in that field of your life, right? In that creative field. Because I feel for some of you, this could very well be almost like a separation from what you truly desire to do with the star and what you do for money. Again, it doesn't surprise me because earlier I said I don't feel that money is an issue. The actual cash is an issue, and this felt much more about really sort of taking care of your body and your health in that way, feeling more luxurious, being more pampered. And again, this comes in to confirm that, you know, 10 of Pentacles indicates money is not the issue. And you certainly are at a level this month where money should not be an issue going forward as you resonate up to a 10. 3 of Swords, Hangman. So some of you, certainly this has come out of a feeling of being hurt in the past. So I think that, again, the Lovers comes in because perhaps all of this has indeed really sort of stemmed from a heartache in the past somewhere that is well and truly in the past, but the pain has still been there. And this is very much a feeling of sort of healing from that, coming out of that period where you kind of just let yourself go, perhaps as a result of this heartache. Again, I want to say for some of you, this is very, very much a feeling of getting your health back on track. You may have indeed allowed your health or your physical self-esteem and confidence go for some time because of a pain that was here, because of a heartbreak with that 3 of Swords. You know, something that really hurt not only our heart, but our ego, you know, really hurt our self-confidence. Can be a real reason why you did allow yourself to sort of stay in this sort of mode of not putting too much effort in for some time. Maybe you didn't want to come right back up into the world and be hurt again. Nevertheless, you have this wake up and you realize now, I think it's all about balance, because the 2 of Swords comes in to remind us that when you get back on track this month, Scorpio, you get back into your health, your well-being, you're being extremely creative, right? And all of that. You realize that perhaps this is a case of understanding balance, because 2 of Swords talks about like not being able to make a decision between having 2 things in our lives, you know, and it could be 2 different type of lifestyles that you have, you know, or, you know, 2 sides to yourself that if you give in to any one side, you know, you become very out of balance and you suffer. I think you realize this month that it is indeed about balance, and in all areas of life, whether it be with a love connection, lovers where you need to sort of work with each other, there needs to be a balance. And when we talk about taking care of ourselves and making sure that we are not only financially happy, but that we are creatively happy and able to express ourselves, this is a balance also. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it at that. This is your February outlook. Definitely going to impact a love connection somewhere along the line, but it's all about this rebalancing of you that needed to happen for anything further can happen with this love connection. I wouldn't be surprised when I do your February love outlook that it will be along these lines. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to hit the bell so you can be notified when I premiere my videos, which I do for all of them. If you want to get a private reading, you can follow the links at the top of your screen and the links in the description to your other videos. But for right now, Scorpio, have a wonderful month of February, and I'll see you March for your general outlook. Bye-bye now.